I'm so sorry, everybody.
Okay. That's all right. I'd like to call to order this work session for the Trinidad Tourism Board at 9:07, Wednesday the 23rd, September the 23rd. You want to do a roll, Marty?
Campbell?
Here.
Chris?
Here.
Latrell? Thought I heard Amanda earlier.
I thought it was, but I think it was Cy.
Oh, okay. And Michaels? Here. Tom, keep watching for Amanda, and then we'll add her when she logs in.
Okay.
I don't know. Everything is acting up all of a sudden.
Our items for discussion: printing costs of the visitor guide. Do you want to?
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so in going over what I sent you previously and what's already been approved, the Studio 6, the two estimates that we received and approved already, one was for $1,950, and that was revisions to the travel planner, to the PDF. So at the last work session, we went over the PDF and everybody made their recommendations for the changes. That's the 40 pages of revisions throughout the 68-page book. The changes to the logo, so using the Trinidad Tourism logo instead of the city logo. Proofing and high-res imagery, 2 rounds of revisions, and preparing the final artwork. The total for that was $3,900. In the design for the travel planner, the board approved adding a pocket to the back inside cover. So Studio 6 estimated $2,700 for that. That will include the separate restaurant listings on the insert, and the pocket and the events. So that total comes to $2,700. In addition, I sent you in this packet 2 estimates from publication printers. One is the cost to print and bind the 4-page cover. So 4-page cover meaning the front, the back, and the inside front and back, including the pocket on the back cover and the 2-page insert. So they have they have 2 quantities listed. One is for 10,000. And it's estimated at $12,462.51, and the second quantity amount is for 20,000, and that's estimated at $17,702. So you can see the difference in printing more. So at 10,000 it's 12, and at 20,000 it's 17. So there's quite a significant difference in printing more right off the bat. The second one from publication printers is for the actual insert, and that is an 8x10 that folds in half to a final size of 5 inches by 8 inches. And just for that insert, 5,000 copies would be $977, but if we're going to order a quantity of 10,000, that price is $1,159. So those are all of your costs to reprint the new visitor guide for 2021. The first 2 have been approved already by the board for Studio 6. What we need to do at the next meeting, because we can't do this in a work session, is probably what we should do now is discuss the amounts that we would like printing, and then we can approve the estimate that's been given to us by publication printers in the next regular meeting. So anybody that wanted to discuss this?
Do you have a total of all these numbers, Marty?
Well, I didn't total it all because I didn't know how many, what the quantity
Right.
you guys wanted was. So
that's the only.
How long are we going to have these inserts to cover books? I mean, when do we think we're going to do a complete new book?
That's what we're talking about now, is a complete new book with the pocket in the back.
With the pocket in the back. I thought we were
right.
This.
The PDF is already.
I got confused. I thought we were doing a pocket in the old book. Sorry, my bad.
No, we don't. Yeah, when the last meeting, what you guys decided was to do the new book with the pocket in the back, since we were completely out of books. What we also decided was that we were going to do a revised PDF with no printing. So that is already, I'm already working on that with Studio 6. So the PDF is nearly complete.
Okay.
Will we be able to see that, Marty? Will we be
yeah,
able to
I'm
see
working
it?
with the PDF. I should have that. I got an email this morning from Tracy at Studio 6, and she should have that to me on Monday.
Okay.
So nothing will go forward until you approve the final PDF.
Will we be able to do any revision on that if there has to be any done? Or that is...
That's what we discussed in the last work session, was all the changes that you wanted to the PDF.
Right.
So all those changes that you recommended have been sent to Studio 6, and that's what I'm working on, the final that I should receive on Monday. So yes, you will get that final on Monday. So if you still have changes, we can still make changes. It's not done yet. Okay,
great. That's what I wanted to clarify, was that.
Right.
So
with the 2700 for the 2700 and the 3900, let me add that.
And the 1960,
so Studio 6 is 1950, right. So Studio 6 is, well, actually it's 3900, Tom. That 1950 that's on the bottom of that Studio 6 one is just a 50% down payment. So the total is 3900 and 2700, for a total of 6600. And then depending on the amount that you want printed from publication printers, I can add that in. So the discussion should be whether...
And then you have to add the 977 for the visitor, for the guides, for the restaurants, the 977. Did you add that in there also?
No, I haven't, because you haven't told me your quantity yet.
Okay.
So you need to figure out how many you wanted to order if you were going to do a first printing. So you have the option of ordering 10,000 for $12,000 or 20,000 for $17,000. So then you would figure out how many you're going to print initially or totally, and then I can figure out how many of the inserts we need, and I can figure out a total for you.
There's actually a discount of $3,000 if we order 20,000, right? Because it's 10.
Actually closer to $7,000. If you order 10,000, the price is 12,000. So if you double that, it would be 24,800.
Yeah.
And for 20,000, it says 17. So you're saving almost $7,000 by printing 20,000 versus 10,000.
And in the first order of the last book, how many copies did we have? How many was?
I knew you were going to ask that, and I don't have that number in front of me because I wasn't here then when those were ordered. You might have the answer to that. Say the question again. How many visitor guides were printed initially when we did the last visitor guide?
40,000.
40,000.
Yeah, 40,000. It's 40,000.
Do you remember how long ago that was, Marty?
It was before I got here, Tom, so I guess probably early 2018.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we're looking at we got rid of almost 40,000 in almost in 2 years. If you got there in 2018,
two and a half to 3 years, you used 40,000.
Okay, so I suggest we take the 20,000 copies.
I suggest we take the 20,000.
So
Okay, so at 20,000, that would be 17,000. Let me just add that.
okay,
17,702. And then if you're going to get 20,000 of the books, you would need 20,000 of the inserts, so that's 1,489.
okay,
So your total would be 32,391, give or take a few cents.
okay. So then we could move that on for a vote in the next meeting. It's
Yes, sir.
okay.
And then as soon as I receive the PDF from Studio 6, we'll get a final review and any additional changes that you want made. So I will have that to you as soon as I get it from Studio 6.
Okay. And,
Okay?
Okay, and I'll talk a little bit about, I had talked to Mike Valentine about, is that okay, Marty?
Absolutely.
Camille, and so I had talked to Mike Valentine about, on all the other boards, they were given some money from the marijuana money, and I asked him if we could be a recipient of that possibly to produce this new book. So what he wanted me to do is to get the numbers and then maybe write a letter to him as to asking for a portion or to going in with us to doing this new booklet that's coming out. So if you have any questions or anything on that, Camille.
I don't. I think it's a great idea if we collaborate with the city for this book.
Sorry?
Absolutely.
Okay. So maybe we could get with you, Marty, and we could put a letter together.
Yes, I can do that. Amanda has joined us. Tom, if you'll please recognize her so I can add her to the present for roll call.
Okay. Welcome, Amanda.
Hi, everybody. I want to apologize. We have been crazy busy this morning, and I just couldn't step away and leave things a mess. So I'm here now, and yeah,
Amanda,
I'm so sorry.
We were discussing the printing costs of the visitor guide. Did you hear any of that?
I came in right when you guys were calculating everything from the PDF all the way to the printing cost. So I caught that last number. The only thing that I thought of are those inserts. If there was a possibility of maybe printing less of those to start, just in case anything changes, if we need to make changes to those inserts, that's another cost for Studio 6, if I understand correctly.
We're going to be getting a revision.
Restaurants closing, or
we're going to be getting a one so we can go over it before they print them.
Right, and if we order a full 20,000, that insert, the purpose of the insert is to be able to change it. If things do go awry, if restaurants or businesses start closing, that was the idea behind the insert, just to keep it as updated as possible. So if,
right.
if we
Right.
wanted to maybe just print half of those instead of the full 20,000, and when the time comes to then, if we need to update the insert, to print more for an updated copy.
That's an excellent idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the quantities then, Amanda, were 5,000, 10,000, or 20,000. 5,000 was $977. So is that something you guys would recommend then? Is just going with 5,000 inserts at the onset?
Well, if we look at we had 40,000 original books that went in 2.5 years, and if we just order 5,000, I think we'd be better off ordering 10,000 for the 20,000 books.
Well, to Amanda's statement, the changes to the restaurants and the event dates and stuff happened. I bet you we had changes every 3 to 4 months on any given restaurant closing, having a new restaurant open. It happens pretty often here. So just my opinion.
So you think 5,000?
I would go with a lesser amount and see how it goes.
Okay, that's fine.
If 40,000 lasted us close to 3 years, I'd say 5,000. We can go through that in about a year. And we're most likely going to have some changes in that 1 year.
Okay, especially with COVID.
Right. And then maybe once, Marty, you can keep track of like,
5,000.
once we get down to maybe 2,500 or 1,000, then it's time to kind of think about looking at all the restaurants, making sure hours are updated, and then we can order 5,000 more.
Okay, great. So we're ready to move that one, Marty?
Yep, all I have to do now is wait for the final PDF, and I will get that to you for final approval or additional revision.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Gap funding.
I don't know if anybody else did any research or visit any of those websites or anything that I sent you on gap funding. Has anybody done take any look at that, any of that?
Some, I started some, didn't finish.
And we're looking at it from a business side too.
Good. Better that you look at it from a business side, because I have discovered that the Tourism Board cannot apply for gap funding. I thought we could, because it does mention destination development on their pages. Unfortunately, because we receive lodging taxes, we have a revenue, so we can't claim ourselves as a nonprofit, and we cannot claim ourselves as a business. So the Tourism Board itself cannot apply for any gap funding. However, hotels and motels can, restaurants can, retail businesses can. So you should all take a better, closer look at that and look at it from a business standpoint. There is funding available, so any opportunities that we have in the community from a business standpoint or a nonprofit standpoint should be looking at these funding opportunities real close and see if you can't recover any COVID-related expenses or results from COVID when you had to close your doors or anything like that. Take a real hard look at those, and you should also probably recommend to your other business owners and other hotels and motels, lodging, to also take a look at that gap fund and give them that information so we can recover a little bit from this COVID.
Marty, has the city council looked at this? Have you sent a copy of this to the city council? Because it would be a good thing for them.
I talked to Wally about it already. He's aware of it, so I just put it in his hands, and he'll go from there.
Okay. that's any discussion on that from anybody?
I just want to, the criteria for it is if you qualify higher, if you're a minority owned business, either a woman owned business or some sort of minority, and then also you have to have less than 25 employees total. So those are things to think about, but it's all on the webpage. It's up to $15,000. There's no first come first serve. It's just based on, and we're also in a tourism sector, which makes us more qualified. A rural area that's a tourism sector to be qualified for the grant. So we're going to go for it, and anybody else who falls under those criteria, it's a good idea too.
Thank you, Amanda. Colorado Life magazine.
So in your packets, you're going to see the estimate or the cost to do a full page ad in the Colorado Life magazine's July-August issue for 2021 for $1,600 for a full page ad. You'll see the 2020 ad that we did in Colorado Life. And so I just put that in there for your review. I will have this on the regular meeting agenda for you to vote on. Colorado Life magazine is one of the one of the publications that you have consistently advertised in for at least the last 3 years that I know of, and I don't have any records prior to that. So Camilla or Sai, you might be able to speak on whether or not or how long this has been ongoing for the tourism board, and any other discussion that you have regarding this publication. If you do decide that you want to move forward with this, now's a good time to decide what you would like your ad to look like as well.
I'm trying to research that cost again, Marty. I'm looking for it right now.
Did we advertise in this magazine last year? You said we did?
Our last 4 years.
Last 4 years.
Last 4 years? Yeah, so Tom, if you look in your packet, last year's ad is, or this year's ad is there, and yes, we did advertise last year, so 4 years.
Okay, thank you.
And it is a magazine when we don't have when we don't do it, people comment that we're not doing it.
My question is, we've got a lot of ads that are being proposed to us this time around. I am curious how we are on the budget, if this comes out of this year's or next year's, and how much of this year's do we have left to make decisions with?
Okay, that's a good segue into lodging taxes that I happened to receive from Cheryl late last night after Tom requested that very number. So second quarter lodging taxes collected thus far for the year are $114,832. Last year, first and second quarters total $149,896. So about 35,000 down from last year. Not as bad as we thought, but still bad enough.
No. What was last year's 149,000? What, Marty?
No, last year's was 149,896.
Okay. Then you say we're about 30-some thousand off.
About 35.
Oh, never mind.
As far as what we have left, Amanda, I will have financials at the regular meeting, bringing us all up to date on that.
That would be
Figure
great.
out what we have. Yeah, so what we have left this year.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
But just to note, this cost won't come out until until the 2021 budget. This will be out of the 2021 budget, not the 2019 budget. I mean, not the 2020 budget. It'll be out of 2021. Whoa. I can't believe we're talking 2021 already.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
I think maybe the discussion should be is how many magazines do we want to advertise into for 2021? Maybe that's what Amanda's getting at. Is that right, Amanda, for the amount of money that we have lost?
Well, yes, and I think my point of view when coming on is that the advertising was always going over, so I'm trying to make sure we stay ahead of not overdoing that budget and keeping with what we had made a plan for. So yes, it's just to keep things in line to make sure that we're staying on track.
Maybe Marty, the most important magazines, the ones that you feel that we should be committed to, if we could put together those magazines that we have committed to for a long period of time, because I'm sure we have 2 more quarters to get to, right, by the end of the year, to see where we would be for the total of the year, right? And at this point, we're $35,000 down. So, what do you think of that?
I think that our third quarter is going to be good and stable. I think our fourth quarter is going to be unstable. I think total for the year we're going to be down about 50,000. But I think that this next quarter is going to be a sound quarter. The last few months we've all been busy. So October's payment will be a good, solid, strong payment. It'll be the end of the year payment that'll be soft again. So we're down 35. I think we're going to be down about 45. But it won't happen this quarter. It'll happen next quarter. Because people just started traveling. I can foresee in about 10, 12 days, it's a little bit less on the books. But right now, we're still strong.
Publications that we have been advertising in for the last 2 years that I know of are the Official State Vacation Guide. That's the CTO magazine. Colorado Life. True West magazine. We usually do 2 or 3 in that one. Mountains and Mesas, which is the one that is put out by the Huerfano Journal. And Adventure Outdoors. Those are the 5 that we have advertised in consistently for the last 3 years that I know of. One before I got here that I know of, and then the last 2 years.
Okay. So, and previous to that, through USA Today, we had advertised in other magazines, hadn't we, Marty?
USA Today had, just when I came on board, there were actually, I think, 4 publications that Jonathan had contracted with USA Today.
Right.
I believe there was
and those were the ones that we had cut out.
Yes, when Nancy was still on board, the one that you had sort of agreed to go back to was the Hunt and Fish magazine.
Okay. So,
No commitment was made, but that was a discussion.
okay. Is there any discussion on any of the magazines that we are now in from, does anybody have anything to say on them?
Not that it's good to stick with certain magazines and advertisements that we know do work for us, but I don't think it should be out of the question to try some different ones and maybe see. I know we don't have necessarily the access that they do to all their readership. I know USA Today's been giving us, exactly how many and they're a little more expensive. But the Hunt and Fish one, I think, does seem like a good idea. That one seems like it stretches across a lot of readers. I think just being in the restaurant the last 2 weeks, business has picked up because of hunters and fishers in the area. And so that might be just something for us to, I don't know if it's, I don't think it's a bad idea to look at new ones, but it's, you also do want to keep the ones that are consistent and that work and do well for our purpose.
Just to let you know, Amanda, that we had cut out those other 4, and these are the ones that we felt at the time that are the ones that we would stick with because of the area that we're in and what they cover. Does everybody feel okay with the ones that we're advertising in now?
I do. I like Amanda's idea, though, and the number one reason I like her idea is because usually hunting seasons are in the fall or in the time of the year that tourism always doesn't happen. I mean, I know we just have a hunting season now, and it is still tourism time, but, the end of August and September sometimes stays soft. But October, November, and those times that they have, that's the time that we can bring people in the community and not have our rates so high in the hotels and really be accepting. So I do like her idea about the hunting magazine, just because those are off times in Trinidad.
Okay. So right now we're adding one. Do we want to cut out any of the ones that Marty has mentioned to us? Because it would be that we would be adding one to the mix.
Well, Mr. Chairman, may I remind you that the official state vacation guide has already been approved for 2021, so there's a commitment already made for that one.
And which one's that, Mark?
That's the Colorado Tourism Guide.
Okay. So that's already a commit.
Looking at the price for the USA Today quarter page, standard rate $8,000, and they're doing $3,000 right now. If you guys want to continue on that, just do a smaller ad, because I know there's a lot of hunters in this area, and they come down into my shop quite a bit to buy for their wives. But they're the normal people that come year after year after year after year. I don't see too many new ones because they've got these booked for years in advance. But it's nice to advertise in that. But I was one for the quarter page if we can do it. That's something that has to be.
So is your suggestion to cut the ad size, to cut down on cost and keep all of the magazines that we're in?
And do a small ad in the U.S. if that's what you're talking about, if that's what we're talking about, to do the U.S. The hunting and fishing thing. I got to go back up. Hold on. U.S. Today.
So Marty, on the CTO magazine, did we do a full page ad?
Yes.
Okay. And so what do you think about that, Marty, cutting the ad size down to cut the cost down?
I did include some examples in your packet of what a quarter page ad looks like. So if you'll scroll up to the Hunt and Fish magazine, you can see some examples of those quarter-page magazines. So what you're seeing is a full page that has a half-page ad and 2 quarter-page ads.
Uh-huh.
So just an example of what those would look like on a full page. So you have the half-page ad on the top, and then you have a quarter-page ad on the bottom. So that's just an example of what you would be looking what a quarter page looks like. So, and the saving this year is actually significant. So as Camilla added, a quarter page, generally the standard rate is $8,000, and they've dropped it down to $3,000.
So that's
and
that's
a half
the road I
is 6,000, and the normal rate is 15,000. So, but to keep our costs down, because our budget is down, we could do a quarter page, and that would be only $3,000 because our budget is down this year. But we're still advertising.
I agree. I agree with cutting the ad size down for 2021. Sai, you have any comment on that?
Yeah, it's important to get our face out there, even if it's a little smaller. Yeah, that's all. We need to really make sure that we are really advertising our city as much as we can right now with different things, not just one thing. Our outdoor recreation and our hunting and fishing, anything outside, and anything downtown for our restaurants and businesses. Just to make it a really, again, think about Trinidad and what we can offer that we currently have, and we have a lot of outdoor things, and we're trying to build up all these restaurants and events, and what SCRT is now, I'm hearing about, sounds really bad with us. So yeah, we just got to get our name out there.
Another way to look at it also is probably a lot of them are cutting their ads, their cost of the ads. We may be able to go in a couple of other magazines by them cutting the ads and us getting a smaller ad, and we're actually covering more by going into maybe another 1 or 2 magazines. What do you think about that, Marty?
Well, yeah, that's definitely an option, Tom. In fact, if you will look in your packet, you'll see information for the Out There Colorado magazine, which is actually an in-state magazine put out by the Gazette. So I included that to see if you wanted to review that as well and see if there was something you wanted to do in there. So that's absolutely a good idea. So I will put Hunt and Fish on the agenda then for the regular meeting. In the meantime, if the board members would kind of be thinking about what you would like that ad to look like.
Amanda, what do you think about the more magazines with the less cost and the smaller ad?
I'm all for that, and I do like Sai was saying. We should focus or try and push more advertising towards the times of years that we have a slower season. We all know winter is hard in this town, and especially in January and February, business drops all over. And I think that's, this Gazette Out There Colorado magazine is specific to winter and fall time activities all over the state. The hunting and fishing is particular to the time of year that we're a little bit slower. And as we move forward into next year, I think that's, we do so much advertising during the summer months that we also should space it out for winter months to keep ourselves up to date and keep ourselves as a place where people can see themselves in wintertime coming for activities. I don't know. I think, once we see the state park open up and see what's going to be available to us as far as recreation goes, we can make a better decision and a better ad to direct people to the state park, what is available there for wintertime activities. But winter, yeah, we're just, as we're already entering a weird end of the year, you know, we also face the idea that Trinidad is a slow town in the winter, and it's starting to get it's just a little unknown, and I think we can help our community by promoting our city during that time of year.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. So Marty, I know we throw all this work on you, but maybe you could give us kind of a breakdown, like what we have spent on full page ads and what we would be saving on quarter page ads, and then that would give us an idea of maybe we could go into a couple of other magazines.
Well, that outdoor is the same thing as the other one. It's normally $8,000, and and this is a quarter page. They're asking only $3,000. So that's something we could all think about. They're all doing that same thing, you know.
Yeah.
What if instead of comparing those things, because those come up in our board packets anyway, and we discuss them. What if, Marty, if you could get us maybe a list of the commitments we've already made for 2020 and 2021, so we can have a full list of the cost, what we've already committed to, and then as we move forward in each meeting, work session, looking at the prices that are in front of us, we can make a better decision about what's already taken and how we can move forward.
We only have one commit, or right? The only committed is the CTO magazine at this point.
No, I think we committed to True West magazine too for the spring.
Right. That's right. We did. So two of the four we've committed to.
Yes.
And maybe
next year.
Maybe it could include all advertising, like KRTN is another commitment that we've already locked in or we're paying for, and it all comes into the advertising bucket. So maybe that could just be something that we stay on top of so that we don't overspend on that line item again.
You meant KCRT, right? Not KRTN.
Oh, yeah. Excuse me. Yep.
Okay.
So, and at your next regular meeting, I will have a breakdown of all 2021 to date expenditures for advertising and publications, and I will have also what's been committed to for 2021 thus far, as far as advertising and publications.
Okay. Thank you, Marty.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so that being said, if you will go back to the Out There Colorado, the reason I put that in there is because they're the publication for the fall and winter edition is October the 18th is when that comes out, but their space reservation is Friday, September 25th, so that's the day after tomorrow. And then their camera ready ad has to be presented to them by the 30th. So there's that one, if you decide to go with that one, and you'll look at those sizes and rates, these are really reasonable. If you wanted to get into a fall winter edition, they also have a spring summer edition if you wanted to wait for something like that. But their costs are really low. So a quarter page in the Out There Colorado is only $555. And the reason that I put this in front of you is because I don't know how many of you use Facebook, but Out There Colorado pops up on my Facebook at least once a day with something about Colorado. Colorado outdoor recreation, what's going on in the state. So they also have a really active Facebook that they show different stuff on, as well as their website. So they seem to be an up-and-coming publication and social media presence. Just wanted to let you know. I don't know if anybody else gets on Facebook and happens to see them, but they're pretty active right now. And that's put out by the Gazette in Colorado Springs.
If you can add that one, Marty. because of the cost of the quarter page ad.
Well, this one, I don't know if we can do the fall and winter because the space reservation's the 25th. And we won't be able to vote on that.
But you said we could go into the spring and summer of that one?
Right.
So because of the cost of that one, I think that would be a good one to look on for. This way we have, if we can cover all the seasons, have something in each magazine for all the in a total of all these magazines for all the seasons, you know, I think that would be a good thing. And like you said, that one pops up on Facebook.
Okay, so I will contact Out There Colorado then and let them know that we might be interested in the spring and summer publication versus the fall and winter, right?
Yes.
Okay. Alrighty.
So are we going to skip on now to tourism board applications?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So in your packet, you will see the 3 applicants that submitted their citizen interest forms to City Hall. The deadline was Friday. So you have 3 applicants. The first one you see is Renee Martinez. The second one is Sally Rubelid. That's Frank and Sarah Jane's daughter, Sally. And then the third one is Chris Miller. Chris actually applied previously, I think, for the seat that was vacant. It was vacated
When Nancy was put on.
He left.
Yeah, Nancy got that seat at that time.
Right.
And Audra reiterated that although Mr. Miller does live in Los Animas County, he is active in the community and he does qualify as an applicant. The board did say that you did not have to live within the city to be a tourism board applicant. So you will see, I think that same discussion came up the last time he submitted his application. And just reassuring you that, yes, he is a qualified applicant.
I think Chris Miller sounds like a great applicant. I've reviewed.
My question is, we interview him. Is there any chance getting into back when we will be getting back into City Hall for meetings? Because doing this Zoom is really hard with them. Applicants.
So that was going to be my next question, is if the board was going to request to do face-to-face interviews. I can ask city manager if that's possible for the regular meeting so that I can invite these applicants to do a face-to-face interview. Is that what the board desires?
Yes.
I would prefer in person too.
I would too.
Okay, so I'll call Mr. Valentine and request that the board be allowed to interview these 3 applicants at the next. You want to wait until the next regular meeting, which is October the 14th, or did you want to request a special meeting just to do interviews for these applicants?
I think the next board meeting,
Stay with me.
October the 23rd, would be fine.
So then you would do the interview and then immediately vote afterwards for this applicant so you could fill that position?
Yes.
Okay, so I will put the interview and the selection of board members on the next regular meeting agenda. And then I'll keep you notified whether or not it's going to be approved by Mr. Valentine that we do a face-to-face.
And then just so I'm clear on, as being a new member, I mean, I obviously just did the application interview just a few months ago, but are all of the applicants, they're all qualified to be on the tourism board? I thought I remembered something about having to be in business to be on the board, either owning or operating a business, or was that just kind
directly related to tourism? Yeah. Yeah.
So then, is a student somebody who is qualified to be on the board? Just out of curiosity.
Only if she had a connection directly to tourism. Say her family ran a restaurant or something, and she was working in there, that would qualify her. It would be that she has a direct route to tourism. And the reason for that is, and every city will tell you, this isn't about Trinidad or the board here, is when any of that work is researched, is it originally was supposed to be, and we've softened on it, is the Colorado Tourism Office will tell you that you eating every Friday should be an important part of why you're on the tourism board. You should have a business or run the business that if for some reason tourism doesn't work out for you, then you have hurt your livelihood and hurt your life. And so businesses, people that are working for a business or part of a business that's directed to tourism, they have found over and over again that when you put people on a tourism board who doesn't have a passion for taking care of tourism, their decisions will not be quite the same. If you're involved in an event that you're passionate about, if you're involved with the welcome center that you're passionate about, but you have to be passionate about something in the tourism industry to be on the tourism board.
Thank you, Simon.
Thank you.
So that being said, and after you've reviewed all of the applicants, do you feel that they are all qualified to be consideration for tourism seat? Mrs. or Miss Martinez apparently is employed by TM Ranch Outfitters, so that would qualify her as far as being tourism related employment. She's also a resident of Trinidad, so that would qualify her. So are there any questions on her qualification?
None on my part.
At this time, me either, and I guess we'll just have to see in person. You know, that's or when we interview them, those are when the questions will come up about their passion and their involvement and why they will be an asset to the board.
Well, as I stated, passion for it is definitely an asset, but do they qualify under the the guidelines for an applicant, for a board member? I just want to make sure that they are all qualified.
The only one is Sally. Is she involved in any of the tourism-related industries that we have? Is there anything else, Marty?
It doesn't appear from the application that she's currently involved in anything, but I know that she has been a volunteer docent for the A.R. Mitchell Museum of Western Art back in 2015. It apparently looks like she was also a docent for History Colorado, so probably at one of the museums, at the History Museum. That was in 2014 and 2015. Those would be two that are related, but I don't see anything current.
So is the current thing the most important thing? Is the question.
I can't answer that. That would be entirely up to the board.
Amanda?
Say it again, Tom.
what I'm looking at is we want someone to be currently involved in something that's tourism related. Like when I got on the board, I was active with the blues board. I was that's how I got on. So I'm still active with, even though we were through COVID. Size through the restaurant, Size through the hotel, you're through the restaurant, Camilla's through a downtown business. So we're all actively involved in tourism related things. And that's...
Go ahead.
I think that either actively or in the very near future are things to consider, and those are questions that'll come up in the interview. Especially for the one who's a student and very young, it'll be interesting to see what her plans to get involved in the sector are, and we do need to ensure that it's going to be either very, very quickly as soon as they get on the board, or already involved in something.
Okay.
Well, I do think that's important.
She is not qualified. She is still a registered student, and I don't know if she's going to go back because of COVID, back to her school, and that's a question we've got to have, because she has been away at school, and she still is.
Well, Amanda put it pretty good, Camilla, that when we do ask her, these are the questions that we'll ask her. So we'll just move forward with these three. Cy, do you have anything to say?
Well, I just think that you're right. We have to ask her, and she's a child of our community that's going to college, and we can teach her some of those rules if she doesn't fall into line by the solid rules, just to help grow her and let her know that we have her young spirit, that she would want to put that in for our community. But yeah, we have to ask her in case she's doing something we're not aware of.
I agree with you and Amanda.
Oh my God, guys! I have bears in my backyard, and they're like feet from me. Oh my gosh! You cannot believe how big these bears are.
I wish you were on camera.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! There's a baby one too. Oh, they're coming for my door. This is so wild. Sorry, guys. I gotta get off. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. That's later. Bye.
Only in Trinidad, Marty.
Wow. Well, my daughter sent me video from her video cam. He was on her front door. It's just crazy. She lives up on Stonewall, and they were right off her front door. You could hear him breathing. It was crazy.
He was trick-or-treating.
Yeah, he was trick-or-treating, definitely. Okay, so then I will put in a call to the city manager requesting a face-to-face meeting for these applicants. I will also contact the applicants and invite them once I hear if that's a possibility or not. If it's not, then I will make the necessary arrangements to do a visit. And a virtual meeting. So that's the process there. So we can go on to this visit widget. These folks have been just ding-donging me to death about making sure that the tourism board is aware of what they have available. And so I scanned that in. I don't have a good grasp on what they do. I know that they can create a mobile app for the tourism board that people can access via their phones or their tablets. They can explore places to go, people to see, things to do, all on this app. They can calculate distances to different locations in the city or in the county.
It's an interactive, they have an interactive kiosk. Lots of different things that you can do with this widget. So I just included that in your packet for review. I will put it on the agenda for October I keep forgetting what date it is, the 14th, if you wanted to make a decision at that time. But I wanted to give you enough time to review the information and what they have available.
Okay, that's fine.
Like our website?
Basically, our website does, it gives all the information you could possibly want without having a widget. Widgets are more interactive. So it does calculations for you, like you can locate your Curly's beads immediately by just clicking on the name of your store, so to speak. Whereas on the website, if you pull the website up on your mobile phone, it would give you the address, and then you would have to go to, say, a GPS to locate where Curly's Beads is. So there's one more step to finding you using our website, and the widget is just more proactive. So it does everything. The website gives you all the information. I mean, we're out there. Everybody has the information. This widget just makes it easier to find people, and it's just, I don't know, it's just real active, real interactive, I guess is the word I should use. Just take a look at it and read through it. There's a lot to it.
I went to it. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's very new technology for sure.
Yep. You'll put that on the next one?
Yeah, just review it and take a look at it in the meantime, and then if you I'll put it on the agenda for at the 14th, and you guys can decide whether you actually want to do something with it or not.
Okay, thank you. Tidbits newspaper.
Okay, so I'm assuming that everybody has seen this new little magazine or this little newspaper that's been floating around town. I mean, it even landed on my front porch the other day. And there's there's a lot of local advertisements in it. I just scanned the front page so you kind of had an idea of what I was talking about. Has anybody else seen these?
Oh, he brings them to my shop every week.
Yep, me too.
Every Thursday. Yeah. And they're kind of fun. They're kind of interesting. So the one thing that I talked to him on Thursday, and the one thing he said is there is no cost for advertising. He's not charging for any of these ads. In the most recent one, I see that I think it was the Corazon or the Creative District had a banner ad across the top of one of the pages. There's a lot of little businesses that have their little ads in there, and he said he doesn't charge anything. So I just wanted to know if the board wanted to put a little ad in this little Tidbits magazine. I think he said that I had to submit the ad by Thursday a.m. to get it in there. Or if you, as individual businesses, wanted to contact him, I have his contact information. It's also on the top of that page. It says call Pat or Mickey to put an ad in. So if anybody's interested in something like that, you can. And I can also do something for the tourism board if you would like to.
That sounds good, Marty.
Okay, I'll throw something together.
A lot of people read that magazine. That's the one that flies off of the table immediately here at work. People at the restaurant love reading that magazine. If they're locals, they're out of towners, it goes quickly. So Another thing that he's doing and that he's kind of working with me with is like online presence. He's basically, Pat's a really, really smart guy who knows a lot about advertising, marketing, and especially is a whiz in online presence. And so he's got, I think it's called Be the Gorilla or some sort of company that kind of takes the online presence and puts it all in a report for you, so you can see what your rating looks like. And I'm sure that he does it toward the business, but I'm sure he'd be able to kind of do it for like searches on Trinidad or clicks on the website, or so that it's just he's a really good resource. I think that's moving into town, and him coming up with this paper it's a good read. It's a fun read. It's got puzzles and all sorts of interesting information, but he's also here to help with his marketing experience. So that could be just something to kind of look for in the future. I would say go for it. He's a great guy. He's really fun to work with. And that could be, it could open up some doors and possibilities for us later on down the road.
Thank you, Amanda.
He's a very nice gentleman. Yes.
The next items for discussion be Main Street banners.
Okay, so
I just want everybody to know that Sai's having a real hard time with these bears right now. They're trying to come in her house. I think she called somebody.
as long as she stays in and she stays safe. Okay, so downtown banners, Main Street banners. We all know what those look like. We've done them before. Farmers Market did them for a while. I think the Tourism Board also did them a couple of years ago. Is that correct, Camilla?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, so being how the 200th anniversary of the Santa Fe Trail, the bicentennial celebration, is taking place next year, it's actually an ongoing celebration across the from Missouri to New Mexico throughout the year. So there's lots of activities all year long going on to commemorate the bicentennial. So I just wanted to throw something out there to the board that maybe we could do a Main Street pole banners commemorating the 200th anniversary of the Santa Fe Trail. You've seen this banner catalog before. I know I've sent it to you several times. No commitment has been made, but it's just he sent me another email, asked me if we had decided whether or not we were going to do Main Street banners. It was also brought to my attention that NV Creative Designs is now doing banner printing. I was talking to Jerry Campbell the other day, and he said that he has a new printer and that they are doing lots of different graphic designs and printing. So I sent in a request to Naomi Breedlove at NV Designs to give us an estimate of, some sizes, how many colors we could use, what materials they use for the banners, etc., so that we could have a competitive cost. This display, I don't know what they're called, display banners that you have in your packet, they don't list, display sales. They don't list any costs on their website. You have to request, you have to give them an amount that you would like to have ordered and fill in all the little details about what kind of banners you want to design, what kind of materials, whether it's screen printed or digital printed or whatever the case might be. So I just wanted to have a comparative cost for you if that was something you wanted to move forward with.
Marty, what I see when I go downtown is I see like Commercial Street on that 400 block where the marijuana shops are, and then West Main Street where we have the pot shops on the farther west end. At any given day, we have probably 100 to 200 people just standing on the sidewalks waiting to get into these places. My suggestion was I'm all for the 200th year Santa Fe Trail, but I think also banners could be good for places to go to in Trinidad, the museums, the Bloom in the back of house, the Mitchell, the golf course. I think just the different banners, even some for some of the restaurants. We don't have a lot of downtown restaurants, and maybe even put how to contact them on the bottom of them. Because you do have all these people in these areas just standing and waiting, and when it's like a billboard, it's right in front of them. I do think that it's an excellent place. Those are excellent places to advertise, help advertise for the city of Trinidad, the things that are going on, even some like for the Blues Fest or for Artocade, events like that. I don't know what anybody else thinks about that.
I like your thought, Tom, about utilizing banners could be something that could be an advertisement platform for us. My question is, if it's particular to the Santa Fe Trail Bicentennial, is that something that we would see in a grant application?
I think we could incorporate these banners, some being for the Santa Fe Trail and some being, I don't see it as in a grant. I think us taking our advertising dollars and helping the locals. That's what I think.
I could see, this is just maybe I could see doing an advertisement platform of banners for things to do in Trinidad, but if it's for the event, the Bicentennial 200, that to me seems like it should be a grant thing, a grant application, because it's an event that's sponsored by, or advertisements paid for by the Trinidad Tourism Board. Am I wrong in that's kind of just where my brain went right away. So that's not, if I'm not understanding that right, somebody could explain that to me.
Well, by us helping Artocade by having a banner, it's going to be up 365 days a year. People would know that event's going to be happening. And the same thing with the Bicentennial. We would be actually partners with the Santa Fe Trail. We would be advertising that it's coming up, and it's a celebration for the 200th year for the full year.
Right.
I just think that we should spend some of our money in Trinidad to help all of these things that are going on in Trinidad. That's what I think. That's to me our well spent advertising dollars.
Right, and I totally agree with that. But then wouldn't we have to include the Blues Fest? We would have to include a banner for every single event that happens to ensure we don't leave anybody out.
And the thing of it is, Amanda, is it's okay because they're coming to ask for us for money for advertising anyway. If we have this, we are helping them. That's what this money's designed for, or set up for, is to advertise Trinidad and the events and things that are happening.
On the Santa Fe, the 200th anniversary of the Santa Fe, depends on how we word the banner. There is no reason not to have that banner up.
No.
Forever, because it has been 200 years, and we are on the Santa Fe Trail. So to advertise that, just to say this is the Santa Fe Trail, I think that's very interesting. That some people might come to Trinidad and not even realize that. So a banner hanging up, I have my shop, and those little signs that's right in front of the Stay Fit, you cannot believe how many people stop and read that. Okay, it's right between Stay Fit and the smokehouse. Okay, that little thing that's sticking up in the sidewalk, they look across the street to the buildings, which is now Space to Create, and they read that. So I think a lot of people do read that kind of stuff. They look up, they read the banners. So if a banner says 200th year of the Santa Fe Trail, and we leave it there forever, not forever, but you know what I mean, they're still going to be in awe that it has been 200 years of the Santa Fe Trail. So I see no problem with that. My question sometimes on restaurants, and I would like to advertise all restaurants banners, because depending on the cost of these, we could always change them out, and that is a cost. And if it is the breed loves that do it here locally, maybe the cost would be a little bit better for us. I do not know that, so I cannot speak, but maybe we could change them out. But it's, once again, you put a restaurant on it and they close down, then you got a banner up there with the restaurant that's closed down. So we're in that same predicament as always, and I'm going to say that even with the events. So, but if we change them out right away, that would be a good thing.
The one thing about it is how much money did we spend when we did those ads to advertise for restaurants? You know, you take the total amount of money that we had spent on that. So our point is when someone's at one of these places and they look up and there's a place to eat, I mean, that's a benefit for our community, because they're leaving their dollars here instead of them getting what they came for on Commercial or West Main and getting in their car and taking off. We're giving them options of places to go, options of places to see, or options of places to eat. That's what the tourism board is about bringing people in and staying in Trinidad and spending their dollars. Now, what do you think, Marty?
The only detriment, I think, that I see with your idea, Tom, in printing multiple banners, there is usually a cost to set up the printer for each design, versus, choosing one design and having, multiple banners printed from that one design. If you do one for the A.R. Mitchell and have have information on that, and one for the History Museum, and one for the Archaeology Museum, and one for Artocade, and one for the Blues Fest, you're racking up a lot of costs for just setting up the dies to print each individual banner. And then if you only get 5 or 4 of those banners of each business, it's really going to cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
Just because you have to set up the presses for each individual banner that you're doing, versus if you chose one design and printed 40 banners, the cost is a lot less. Just letting you know that.
Yeah, and I see there's going to be a cost into it. But the thing of it is if we just had one Mitchell, and I understand that there's going to be a cost for that. But then again, you look at all of the magazines, the total amount of money we spent on ordering in magazines. These are in our community for people that are here. And you figure if you ever get the amount of people that are on and off I-25 in a given day, and that's our local advertising. That's something right in front of you. So, it's, and like once these 200th year anniversary for the Santa Fe Trail is done, then they're done. You know what I mean? But the other ones, they're continuing on. We're always going to have the back of house, hopefully. We're always going to have the Mitchell, hopefully. What I want to do is I want to target people that are here now in things to do, places to see, and places to eat. I don't know how anybody else feels about that.
Well, I'm going to agree with Marty. I think that is it's going to be very costly to do that. And the amount of restaurants we have in Trinidad, and each one.
Well, we don't have very many restaurants.
Yeah, but by the time you put up banners, what are you going to put up? One banner for Mitchell, or are you going to spread them out throughout downtown?
And if we have, I think the thing of it is to get a cost. If we're going to do just the 200th year Santa Fe Trail, there's going to be a cost in that.
Right.
And then that's done.
Well, you would have that up for the entire year, and they really don't last much longer than a year. Just saying, the dyes eventually fade out because they're impacted by the elements and the sun,
the elements,
the wind, and the corn, and so I wouldn't give them a longer life than about a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a material that wears out, and you never know with the wind beating them up. You just don't know what's going to happen to those. So I think we need to look at the cost before we go any further, because this is, to put what Tommy is doing, which is a great idea, but between getting the restaurants and the things to do downtown on our theme, that's a lot of. I think we're talking about a lot of money. You'd be surprised, and setting it up. So I think we need to get a cost on them. I wouldn't mind seeing banners that just says Trinidad and do a picture on them and put them on something to make downtown look lively and come alive with banners in Trinidad, because nowadays people are using their phones for everything, but I still think we need a cost.
Sounds good, Marty.
So then what I'm hearing is, do you want me to contact Display Sales and put something together to get a bid on one design, or 6 or 7 different designs?
Well, get a cost on one design and see how much, if they would do, well, yeah, I guess, 2 or 3 designs, and how many we need to order for them to do something like that,
I'm also going to get a hold of Palm Beach and find out if we still have the hardware to mount those banners or not. I know the hardware was eventually taken down.
They are all yeah.
Yeah, and I think the farmers market still uses some of the hardware to put theirs up during the summer. Obviously, those didn't go up this year, but let me find out about the hardware as well. If you look on in your board packet, I think I include the hardware. No, I didn't, but it's pretty pricey for the hardware. So let me also find out what we have left from those previous banners as far as hardware. So that's what I'll do.
I would like you to get a price on what it would cost, because I think a shot of Monument Lake, one of Fisher's Peak, just our golf course, and I just think if you could get a price on all of it. Thank you, Marty.
You're welcome.
COSVG ad draft.
So the last thing I think on your in your packet on your agenda was the advertisement for the Colorado Tourism Office's official state vacation guide. You recently approved this full-page ad, and so I've been working on designs for it. We're coming up with a deadline on the design, so I threw this one out together I didn't throw it together, it took a lot of work to put this one together. So I put a picture of Trinidad Lake State Park on the top, picture of Fisher's Peak State Park on the bottom, with a view of the city. The call to action is obviously visit Trinidad. And all of the marketing programs that I've been attending on, how to change your marketing due to COVID, the message is that people are doing outside recreation, and so that most everybody, they're telling you to focus on your outdoor recreation assets and to target those individuals who are coming to recreate outside. So that's what I put together. I wanted your eyes on it and see what you thought, and what other ideas you had. I only have 3 days more to design something and get it back to them. So if you would take a look at this and let me know what you think.
I like that. Find more fresh air and fun. That's cool.
Yep, I think the ad looks great.
Yeah, I do too. That's great, Marty.
Okay, shall we go with this then?
I'm sorry,
Yes.
I had my mic on mute, but I do like them both. Great job.
Thank you. Okay, yay.
I just want
That's all I
Can I tell you guys something? I had 9 older gentlemen, and my age, not younger than me, 9 gentlemen in my store this week. I don't know if they went anyplace else or if anybody else saw them. There was a group of them. They were out of Denver, they were out of New Mexico, and they were out of Arizona. And it was a large group that was staying at the Trinidad Lake. They never had been down there. They love it down here. They all said they will be back. I forget what they were here for, but it was just a bunch of buddies that were meeting up, and this is where they decided to meet up, and they said they couldn't believe our area down here. So when I first saw these 9 big guys walking in my door, I thought, oh, they're coming to the wrong place. But anyway, it was nice talking to them. I just want you to know what our lake, we don't realize how many people come to our lake up there. So kudos for that.
Next
Right.
meeting, October the 4th. Is that it, Marty?
That's it. So October 14th, I'm going to, like I said, talk to the city manager to see if we can get an in-person meeting so we can interview those board applicants, and I will keep in touch.
Thank you, Marty.
Thank you, Pat and Mark. I'm glad you were able to sit in on this meeting. If you're still there, you've both been very quiet, but thank you for coming to our meeting.
Thank you. It's been great. Thank you for including us, and we'll plan on sitting in on future ones too.
That would be great.
I think coordination with the creative district will need to really follow the lead of the tourism board. I think that's real important.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to adjourn at what time, Tom?
We're adjourned this meeting at 10:35 a.m. Thank you, everybody.
Well, I was
Thank
muted.
you, everyone.
Yes, Marty. This is Pat.
I'm sorry, Pat?
Thank you for including us.